watch the way that Mr. Lee feels out the space. He doesn't measure the distance, and that's years and years of experience, and he's absolutely right. When it's there, it's the right spot. Something I was really surprised about when I first experienced his work, which is quite different from first seeing it, is that it's very emotional and warm and human. And so from an image, you might think, oh, this is quite minimal or potentially cold, but it's not. There's always something that brings you in a very bodily way.
우리의 느낌을 일상적인 그냥 무지개 된 일상적인 그런 차원에서 좀 더 깨어나서 좀 더 프레시하고 좀 더 신선한 그런 느낌을 줄 수 있는 그런 계기를 제공하고 싶다. 그거예요.
Lee Ufan was born in Korea in 1936, and he'd studied painting in Korea, but when he was about 20, he moved to Japan, and he decided actually he'd look into philosophy. While in Japan in the late 1960s, he met a few really interesting sort of collaborators and friends, and together they set up an art movement called Monoha, which means the School of Things. A really strong premise of that was about not actually making anything. It was about bringing together already existing components and also bringing together industrial and natural materials and just placing them. The tension that was created by the combination of those two or more items was what made the work. I've never worked with an artist who is so constantly considering what he's doing. For instance, when he chooses rocks for his installations, he really chooses them. They can't be manipulated. It has to be the rock as it is. You can't cut it or change it in any way. And in each country, he will work with the rocks from that country. And so in Australia, it was with granite from central New South Wales, and he's really loved the warmth of that stone and some sort of distinctive characteristic and personality in those rocks.
인류는 아득한 옛날부터 돌에 대한 숭배의식이 있습니다. 그러니까 이 자연인데도 이게 다듬고 그렇지 않은데도 친근감이 있고, 그리고 뭔가 알 듯도 하지만은 모를 것도 같고.
Lee Ufan first showed at the Art Gallery of New South Wales in 1976 as part of the Biennale of Sydney that year. And so it's a really fabulous opportunity for us almost 50 years later to be installing a commissioned work by Lee Ufan in a very prominent position between our two buildings. It's a beautiful circle of grass. And when we proposed that to Mr. Lee, he was very pleased with that as a location, and he came back with some sketches of what he would like to do. And then when he was in Sydney, we kind of did a mock-up of it, walking around, getting a sense of the location, the distance that would be required between the sculptural elements and the stones, and really feeling out that space. So the title of this work is Relatum Dialogue. And since 1972, all sculptural works that he has made, Mr. Lee has called Relatum something. In this case, it's dialogue, and the reason that it's a dialogue is because the steel and the rocks are in conversation, but it's also the sculpture and us as the viewers who are in conversation with the work. It looks like a fairly simple triangle of steel. In this case, it's really highly mirror-polished stainless steel that sits in the center of that circle of grass, and on either side is a giant granite boulder. The sculpture itself reflects the grass, the trees, the sky, and the rocks around it. And so while it's quite large and it's heavy, it sits very lightly in that location.
이 작품의 제목은 대화인데 철판의 벽을 마주보고 대화는 일반적으로 불가능합니다. 사실은 뭔가 우리가 지금 처해 있는 모든 입장이나 많은 사람들 사이에는 보이지 않는 벽이 있다고 나는 생각합니다. 예술가가 생각하는 발상인데 보이지 않는 벽을 일부러 보이게 만들어 가지고 하는, 그러니까 하나의 서로 잘 아는 사이만이 아니고 모르는 사이끼리도 대화를 하면서 가야 된다 하는 그런 힌트를 줄 수 있는 작품이 되었으면 좋겠다, 그런 생각입니다.